Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution deals with searches and seizures. Folks, I teach an entire course on the Fourth Amendment. Okay? It's very, very interesting. When I was in law school, we spent months on it. Alright? And what it does is it protects individuals and businesses from unreasonable searches and seizures, as part of our privacy rights. But the question always becomes, what is unreasonable? Right? Certainly the police cannot just come to your house in the middle of the night and start tearing things apart, okay? Unless they have probable cause, okay? And it extends to civil matters, right? Even on the civil side, they can't just come in. Expectation of privacy. There is an expectation of privacy, and it protects the individual, right? Where does the individual, it protects the place. Where would a reasonable person think that they have an expectation of privacy? Okay? Walking down the street, talking on your cell phone. Hey, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, you won't believe this. I just lost a leg. Uh-huh, yeah, mm-hmm. Oh, sure, mm-hmm. Oh, they killed them. Huh. Folks, do you have an expectation of privacy when you're walking down the street doing that? No. What if you're at your home in your bedroom? Yes, you probably do have an expectation of privacy there. Alright? So it protects the place. Alright? Where would someone have an expectation of privacy? It's generally assumed. And now keep in mind, some businesses you might not have an expectation of privacy. It depends on all the surrounding circumstances. Alright? The word privacy is not contained in the U.S. Constitution. Our rights to privacy arose from common law decisions rendered by judges as they interpreted our rights. So this has evolved over time, and there's tons of case law on search and seizure. What can you actually search for? Even if you have a warrant, what can you search for? Well, it depends on what the warrant says. Okay? So Fourth Amendment, huge area of law. Fifth Amendment is, this is probably the one that you've heard about on television. I plead the Fifth. And what this has to do with, basically, is that you have the right to not incriminate yourself. So we have the evil Skeletor, alright? See that riding across the screen. Now, we all know Skeletor is evil, right? We know it. Yeah, I'm having too much fun this morning. We all know he's evil. But you know what? No one can force Skeletor to incriminate himself. Okay? Now certainly, pardon me, if he wants to get up on the stand and say, oh yeah, sure, I killed the sorceress, he can do that. But he doesn't have to. Alright? Does not protect against being required to produce evidence. Now certainly if Skeletor has evidence, he has to produce it, but he doesn't have to testify about it. Business records can be obtained. Again, you hear about people shredding documents all the time, very fishy stuff. Well, don't do that. Only protects sole proprietor entity, and you can probably see how this is the case because the sole proprietorship is an individual. Double jeopardy. Double jeopardy is another interesting area. Keep in mind that once the state convicts you of something, they can't convict you of it again. Now, if you go and commit another offense, they can convict you of that. But keep in mind, this does not apply to different entities suing you. So if you commit a crime at the state level, and it's also a federal crime, you can be prosecuted by both the state and the feds. And if you go over into the great state of Georgia or the great state of Tennessee, and you commit crimes on both sides, you can be prosecuted in both Tennessee and Georgia. Sixth Amendment provides protections to speedy and public trial by jury, be informed of the charge, confront the accuser, subpoena witnesses, and assistance of an attorney. Folks, if you're going to court, get a lawyer, okay? Don't think you can do it yourself. I have gone up against pro se litigants many, many times. I kick their butts because they don't get it. You have a right to this stuff. Utilize those rights you have. You do not want to go into court unarmed. You want your weapons with you. Even if you're clearly innocent, whether it be a crime or a civil matter, you need someone there watching out for you and protecting your rights. I'm off my soapbox now. Okay, fraud. must be a scheme to defraud. Okay, so if you're going to commit fraud, you gotta, obviously it's an intentional crime, and the elements of it. This is what the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt: intent to mislead, misstatement of fraud, justifiable reliance, and injury. All right. So if you're going to commit fraud, first thing you have to do is have the intent to mislead someone, and you have to lie to them. The person that you lie to or try to take advantage of you has to justifiably rely on those statements to complete the transaction, and there has to be injury. So all of those things have to be present for there to be fraud. Examples: mail-in wire fraud. Folks, let me tell you, you get those emails online saying, oh, buy this, do this, run. Okay, folks, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Securities fraud, taking a lot of interesting stuff in securities fraud in the past few years. Healthcare fraud, I see it coming. Counterfeiting, okay, yeah, people making their own money. Hell, the government's making their own money. Why can't we? Because it's a crime. Bankruptcy fraud, taking advantage of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is another one of those areas that people ask me about all the time. Bankruptcy is actually a really good thing if it is used properly. If people take advantage of it, then it becomes a problem.